Today, a federal judge will hear closing arguments in the high-stakes fight over gas deployments outside the ICE facility in South Portland. I call it high stakes because the judge's decision could force federal officials to change how they respond to protests outside the facility. At its core, the dispute is about whether DHS's use of gas aimed at protesters goes too far when it drifts into a nearby apartment building. But this case isn't being brought by the protesters. It's being brought by the residents of the Grays Landing apartment building, which is located directly across the street from the ICE facility. The apartment building is a low-income complex that serves folks with disabilities, veterans, and families. These are some videos taken of the protest activity. The residents argue that the gas deployed by DHS enters their units and is causing long-term health issues. For example, one witness says her Cushing's disease is worsening as a result of the chemical munitions. Another witness says her PTSD is flaring up because of the chaos. A witness also testified that the building does not have centralized air conditioning, so residents rely on keeping their windows open. Even when they try to shut them after hearing chaos outside, they say gas still makes its way into their apartments. One woman says she wears a gas mask inside her own home. Both sides are expected to lay out what they believe this case ultimately boils down to today. Before the trial began, we spoke with Lewis and Clark law professor Tung Yin. He explained what each side was likely to argue, and his predictions so far have proven accurate. Here's what he said about the federal government's potential argument.
We have to be able to use this stuff to protect ourselves. So why are you trying to prevent us from being able to protect ourselves? I think that seems to be what their argument is.
And here's what he said the plaintiffs would argue.
In some sense saying, look, we're not part of this at all. The protests are noisy for us. The tear gas is making our lives miserable. We just want to we don't want any of this to be negatively impacting us.
So far during the trial, the federal government has worked to challenge the plaintiff's case, focusing in part on the testimony of their expert witness. That is, an East Coast doctor. Government attorneys argued she was never physically present at the site and therefore could not directly establish a causal link between the deployment of munitions and the residents' reported symptoms. They also noted that the expert witness has previously participated in protests against President Donald Trump. In their formal response to the court, the defendants provided multiple examples of why force was used. For instance, attorneys describe an incident in which a large crowd was trespassing and blocking the facility's entrance. They say the crowd did not comply with orders to move, prompting the deployment of munitions. Later, one person in the crowd was allegedly found to be wielding a machete and a knife when officers attempted to arrest her. All right, that's all I have for you. My name is Tanvi Varma. I went to law school so that you don't have to.